Well, you can play your music. I don't care. Guys,
are we gonna get in trouble?
No, I don't think we're gonna get in trouble.
God, I love
I think you're
song.
okay. She's jamming out in the corner, you guys. Welcome. Welcome.
Hi,
This is what we do in the morning. This is
So
what we do. We do hype
inappropriate.
music.
God, so hype. In case you're just joining us, if you haven't heard the Huge L, or maybe it's Huge L, or like Hugel remix, I have no idea because I'm so unhip. That remix of Breaking Me, look it up. It's very naughty, but it's so good.
It's very naughty, you guys. So naughty.
Who watched Trump's thing in the garden?
You guys. You guys watch this thing in the garden?
There's
like,
who was it? CBS? Who did I say that was complaining about the weather?
Oh yeah, they were mad because Trump is in the shade and they had to sit in the sun. It's as if he planned that. This is what journalists are pissed off about now. They're like, he's in the
CBS.
He's in the shade.
Mark Knoller literally because he was there, right? He's part of the press corps.
So
of the Rose
journalists
Garden.
are like toddlers. I can't deal with them.
And he sends a picture of the podium in the Rose Garden, which is set up near the stairs where it always is. And then all these reporters 6 feet apart in their little, their aluminum chairs or whatever. And it says, awaiting President Trump, reporters in the hot
and
sun.
they're like this. They're like this. Oh my God, I can't. The sun is gonna melt me. And then it's gonna melt me.
And then it says, he will be in the shade. As if Trump now controls where the sun shines.
Of course. He controls that. These people are insufferable.
Actual CBS
They're
reporter.
such twits.
They're such babies, man. They're such toddlers.
God, it's like, here's
I feel
your
like
pacifier.
I'm 2 in the center and you're not.
Am I? Okay. It's because you're over there and going.
And you didn't want to get elbowed.
I was afraid you're going to hurt. You're like, break a hip and then hurt me. Good Lord.
I'm not that old.
I am. I really am concerned about breaking a hip. Oh my God.
Oh, feeling a little punchy this morning. What's today?
It is Wednesday. July the 15th.
And that means
July the 15th.
Another episode of the Mock and Daisy Common Sense Cast drops today. You should be signed up you should subscribe to
Let the beat drop. That's what we were just doing. Okay.
So you should, and people are also complaining, by the way, about the whole Rose Garden thing, saying, that was a total campaign rally.
Well,
it wasn't a press conference.
What do you expect?
And to be fair, I don't think it was a campaign rally. He took Joe Biden's new policy outline and ripped it to shreds.
Yeah, so he's running against the guy for president. So
he
what?
wants people to know, here is what Joe Biden stands for. It's important that you understand what could happen to this country in November if you don't realize.
You don't want us to, do you want us to turn into a communist country?
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a turning point. If you don't want us to do that, vote for me.
I mean, you
don't think Obama would be doing that?
Exactly. You can't really differentiate at this point what's a campaign. And Obama got, people complained about him doing the same thing. This is what presidents do in an election year.
Yeah.
They want you to understand the difference between them and their opponent.
We're 4 months away from an election.
People need to know.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny the way they did it, because he just kind of like listed point by point, and then he made fun of everything. It was great. Oh, by the way, his pick for Alabama senator, was not Jeff Sessions, because he doesn't really like Jeff Sessions.
What's the guy's name?
Tuberville. Tommy Tuberville.
I wanted to say Tuberville.
I want to say Tuberville, too.
I want to say that so bad. I feel like he should change his name to Tuberville.
You wouldn't have to spell it any different.
No.
He would just need to pronounce it differently.
Tuberville, just for me.
To our liking.
Just for the chicks. So Tuberville, if you're listening,
if you could just manage
If you could do that for us, thank you.
But he won his primary. He beat Jeff Sessions, and so now he needs to beat Doug Jones in November and take back that seat in the Senate. Here's the thing. If he doesn't, that's bad. Like, that is a bad sign, I think, of things. If he can't take that seat from Doug Jones in Alabama, that's not good.
I feel like he can.
I mean, I feel
like it's
kind
Alabama, and I think
it's Alabama.
I mean, listen, I'd be worried in like Texas right now, because Texas is getting all sorts of whack and invaded by Californians. But Alabama,
yeah, you guys need, you're sorted out, right?
you guys are sorted out down there.
You're sorted
down
out.
there in Alabama.
By the way, Kanye, Dunzo, no longer running. Because apparently, well, first of all, he sucks and no one wanted him to be president anyway.
Yeah.
But secondly, apparently he was seeing polling that suggested he was taking votes away from Trump. And that is ultimately, allegedly, what made him get out of the race 10 days after announcing that he was in it.
And he was running with the birthday party. What in the hell? What is that?
Well, it's fun. So...
Somebody just asked, has your state reopened yet? Well, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah. We're going to do that. But first, we should mention Nick Cannon.
Is a racist.
Oh, man. Is he ever?
He's a racist.
He is super racist. I didn't know him from anything other than being Mariah Carey's husband for a time.
Well, he has had so much success for being talentless.
What does he do? Like, what is
he's been on he's hosted all sorts of stuff. Like, I mean, if you look at his career, he's hosted all the things.
But where did he come from? Was it Mariah Carey that made him be in all the things?
Yes, I don't know. I mean, I feel as though he doesn't really have a lot of talent. I think he was in Public Enemy, you guys?
Is that right?
I think he was in a group. I think he was in a music group, and I could be wrong, but I feel like
he seems not.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he? I'm going to look that up. I feel like I'm looking it up. But anyways, he was in some sort of group, and then he was catapulted to like all the stardom and all the success, and I'm just like, he's not that great.
So he's not like a Ryan Seacrest, but he wants to be? Is that like his path?
So. I think that's what he wanted his path to be. He's just not that great.
Well, apparently he hosted and produced and had this podcast, and it's the podcast that got him into trouble. So he was on this podcast, and he is super racist against white people and Jewish people, and was saying just blatantly, black supremacist things about how it's melanin that makes you better than people who don't have as much. And he called white people savages, said that, we're inferior. I mean, just blatantly racist
It's
stuff.
completely racist. Okay, he was in the G4 Dope Bomb Squad. I got that wrong. Yeah, he opened for people like Will Smith, LFO, 98 Degrees, Montel Jordan. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Yeah, you guys remember Montel Jordan? Yeah, he signed with Jive Records. He did, he's done, you look at his career, he's done so many things.
Well, now Viacom CBS is like, we think what you said in that podcast of yours was super racist, and you're not really apologizing for it. You're just basically trying to say on Facebook that you love everybody, but it's clear that you don't, and so we're going to end our relationship with you, and they did. Yeah. So that's the latest development in that Nick Cannon story.
Yeah, because essentially what he was saying is, I have melanin, so because of the color of my skin, I am better than you. That, by its very definition, is racism.
And, even like our good friend Zuby, who, if you haven't heard our podcast with him, you need to look that up because it was awesome. But Zuby went on an absolute Twitter tear about this and was just utterly rejecting all the black people, because there were a lot of them, unfortunately, who were coming at him saying, well, it's not racist if what he's saying is right. And then saying, what about that is racist? And Zuby was like, you know what? Don't even come at me with this idea that only white people can be racist, because that's absolute bullshit.
It is,
it's not true.
I'm so glad, too, that Viacom had some balls.
It's amazing. I was stunned that there were consequences.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, because racism is intolerable. Like, we should not tolerate it. And so good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... It was blatant, you guys.
Yeah,
it was just totally blatant.
Gross. Just gross.
What else did you write down?
All right, so Nick Cannon, we're going to talk about schools opening or not opening.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of schools not opening. So we're playing the audio today. We talked briefly about it yesterday, about the 5 pediatricians that were interviewed by MSNBC. And, the 5 pediatricians are like, hell yeah, I'm going to send my kid back to school. Yeah, I feel totally confident. I'm delighted to send my kid back to school. And
like
so
adamantly.
yeah, they're like, yes, I want my kid to go back to school. It's the healthy thing to do, to send your kid back to school. I want my kid to go back to school. Like shouting it from the rooftops, right, when they were asking. And then MSNBC guy was like, that is not the answer I thought I was going to get.
They all said that they would.
Yeah, what?
Wow.
It's covered in what? and so I don't think that was the answer he thought he was going to get or that he wanted to get, but that's the answer you got. So, my question to that is, are we listening to the medical professionals or what? I thought that's what we were supposed to do, because they said these are the 5 top, pediatricians in the country, or 5 top pediatricians in the country. And so, all right, so let's listen to them. So let's send the kids back to school, right? Well, people aren't doing that. So now what they're doing is, a lot of these states, because 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 are saying, I don't want to do it, I don't feel comfortable, and the kids and the safety, blah. So what they're doing is they're giving people the option, you can do e-learning, you can stay at home, and then there's
some schools aren't giving the option. And some schools are like, we're just doing e-learning at least to start out. Or some have said it's going to be the whole year this way. There's a lot of people who are just doing the real drastic, no physical coming to school.
And her kid's school is a lot different than my kid's school. Like, we're 52 miles away from one another. I'm south side, she's north side.
Indianapolis.
In Indianapolis. Her kid's school is a lot different than mine. So you're like, you can only...
But even my schools... So my county, my district rather. So my school district is treating elementary and middle school kids differently than they are high school kids. My kid is supposed to start high school this fall. And so elementary and middle school have an option of attending 5 days a week. My kid, as a high schooler, can only go every other day. To actually be in a physical classroom, and then on the off days he's e-learning, and then so they switch. So there's 2 groups of kids, so that they only have half of the student body in the school at any given time. This is how they want to do it. They have an at-home option for the people who don't want to send their kids at all, but for people like me who want their kids to go, it can only be every other day. So, which is really, that's going to be so weird. And they have to wear masks all day long, absolutely all day long. High school, they do get to go to a lunchroom. There's going to be a limited menu, which is kind of a bummer for my kid, I know, because apparently Carmel High School is known for their amazing menu.
Their food.
And so I don't think it's going to be that good. But yeah, they get to go in a lunchroom. There's going to be as much social distancing as possible.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very different. I mean, very, very different.
Yeah. My kid is in intermediate school. It's like the way that it's set up where I live. There's elementary, there's intermediate, there's middle, then there's high. She's an intermediate. She's a 5th grader. And she was supposed to start switching classes this year to get them ready for middle school. She won't be doing that. But she's going to be going every day. But she doesn't have to wear a mask, except for when she's in common areas. She will be sitting in the same classroom every day, 6 feet apart from other kids, facing the front of the room. And then the teachers will switch classrooms. And then when they have to go to the lunchroom or whatever, they go, I guess, in small groups to the lunchroom, bring their lunches back to that classroom. She will not leave that classroom.
This is so weird.
All day long.
It's so weird how different this is.
She won't leave the classroom all day long. And then when it comes to recess, I'm not really sure about recess. And she's a swimmer. Now she's going to continue swimming. I don't know if that changes, but she'll have swim practice like every day. I don't know how, now I know right now they're not allowed to use locker rooms. So when I take her to swim practice, she's practicing at a school that's not a school. She's practicing at a park that's an hour away from our house, and then twice a week at her school, because they're only allowed to use the school pool twice a week right now, which makes no sense to me. But when school starts, I imagine they still won't be able to use the locker rooms. I don't know how that's going to work.
How do you have?
I don't know.
In the world?
I have to take her in a swimsuit, and she has to leave in a wet swimsuit. They cannot use locker rooms or bathrooms. It's just the weirdest thing.
Oh my God.
I know. It's very strange. So this is
and how does that make any sense? Like, that doesn't make actual sense.
None of this makes sense. None of it makes any scientific sense.
And so we're starting to see, how things are going to go in the next few weeks. And I have my doubts that this is going to stick. Like what we got in the email yesterday and what we just talked about, I don't know that that's going to be actually how it is. They can very well change their minds again before the start of school and decide everybody's going to be e-learning.
And you know what? And I feel like a lot of these kids are going to get sick, period, just from colds, flu, that sort of thing, because they've not been together for 4 months.
Yeah.
And this is the nature of kids. They get sick. They get snotty, they get nasty, they get sick when they start school. Just even after a regular summer vacation, they get sick because they've not been around each other. Imagine what's going to happen after 4 months of being quarantined and not being together. These kids are going to get sick, not just from COVID, but from other things. Because we've put them in little, padded boxes, and we've been like, you can't be around each other.
You know what's so weird is that we haven't heard about flu.
Well,
is that still a thing? Because because usually every year a whole big mess of people die from it. So are all those normal cases of flu that kills people every year, are they just all being coded as COVID now?
Probably.
Because I just think it's kind of
weird.
weird.
It's kind of like we talked about yesterday. People we're getting messages from people that are saying that they're not even getting swabbed. They're going to get tested for COVID. God, y'all, we're getting so many messages. People are going to get tested. They're not getting swabbed. Because they're like, I don't want to wait in this line, but I've already registered to get tested for COVID. They'll go home and they get a positive test. What the heck?
They've never been swabbed.
And then I'm hearing from people that's happening too, because we're starting to talk about this, and people are saying that that's happening. And then you hear about Florida and all that's happening in Florida and how the numbers are so skewed down there. Like the positive numbers are being so inflated.
Yeah, Orlando Health Department reported a 98% positive rate. And then when it was investigated, it turns out they meant 9.8. Which is kind of enormously different.
That's a little bit different.
And so all the people that are ripping on Florida right now, see what happens when you reopen, see what happens when you let people go to the beach. Well, what happens? Apparently nothing, because it's 9%, 9.8% or 9.4% positive.
And why is that happening? Why is all this getting reported as positive? Why? Somebody answer that question. We're hearing about it way too much.
Yeah, I have zero faith in all the testing. I keep seeing people, like even in my future retirement neighborhood, there's a group that I belong to, and I see people signing up for testing, and I'm like, why bother? It's utterly useless. You cannot rely on the results.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're just doing it as sort of a preventative, I don't know why. To me, it's absolutely pointless.
Yeah. And somebody just pointed out, I'm sorry I didn't see your name, but it says the only thing that causes a fever now is COVID.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
As I learned with my kid.
Right?
He got admitted to the hospital twice with a fever, tested positive twice, and I don't think he ever had it.
No.
I mean, he had a UTI. That was the source of the fever.
And he's already immune compromised.
Oh, yeah. You don't get more immune compromised.
You don't get more immune compromised than her son. I feel like if he had it, we would have known it.
I would have had it. She would have had it. It would have been traveling around this office. Yeah, for sure.
I just feel like you would have known. And you would have known if he had COVID.
He didn't have it. What else you got there?
Okay. We have plague squirrels. Because 2020, you guys. As if 2020, didn't suck enough. We have squirrels with the plague.
Yeah, is this in Colorado, right?
Yeah,
I think it's in Colorado.
Yeah, it's in Colorado.
That a squirrel has tested positive for the bubonic plague.
Now, how do you do that? Do you just look at a squirrel and go, I think that squirrel has the plague. Let's test it.
Yeah, let's just randomly test it.
It's like the tiger that was tested with COVID. Tested for COVID. They were like, I think we'll just test it.
Well, and cats apparently are very susceptible to what is it, Black Death?
I'm sorry, but it doesn't shock me.
Dogs are not as susceptible.
Not a big cat fan.
But they can pick up infected fleas. So you got to make sure to give them
cats?
a flea. No, dogs. That is what makes them susceptible to carrying it.
To the plague?
Right, to the plague.
Okay.
So, I mean, we didn't already have enough to worry about.
Yeah.
And so now we've got plague squirrels.
We have plague squirrels. Okay. All right. So that is happening.
Oh, and then if you guys missed out on Bari Weiss's resignation letter from the New York Times.
You have to read it. Oh my God, you guys, it's a thing of beauty. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. She
said everything we already knew to be true about the New York Times, but that leftists have just denied and had blinders on forever. But she's been at the New York Times as an editor and as a writer, a damn good one. She's not a conservative either. This is a woman who's pretty in the middle, because she's right on some issues, super left on others. And she's tried to be a journalist. And she has talked about, in this resignation letter that she posted on her website, she talks all about how toxic and hostile the environment was, how much she was bullied. And if you read the whole thing, kind of sounds like she's going to sue. And I kind of hope she does.
God, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it sounds like she's got some pretty good ground.
God, the New York Times just sucks the monkey balls, you know?
All of them.
I mean,
Every ball.
it just shows how far journalism has fallen. Just fallen. Do you remember when? I mean, I'm old enough to remember when there were actual journalists.
Yeah.
And there are none left. I mean, there are just no journalists left. Everybody's got a bias. Everybody's got an agenda. And you know, she did. She like Mock said, she tried. She went in there and she gave the old college try, and she was like, well, they're calling me also. They called her a Nazi, and a racist just for trying to report things. And so, you know, I hope she sues.
It's an amazing letter.
It really is.
Yeah, so if you get a chance, read it.
I love this. She put, Twitter is not on the masthead of the New York Times, but Twitter has become its ultimate editor.
And it's true.
So they've given into the mob.
And that's like the main crux of her letter, is to talk about how beholden the New York Times has become to the rage mob. And it's just not okay, because this is supposed to be the paper of record, right? Like, this is the
standard. It used to be the standard, and now it just sucks. Now you just can't even line a birdcage with it.
I saw on Daily Mail that the niece, that released the tell-all, she did an interview with Stephanopoulos. And I don't know if the whole thing is aired yet, but she did an interview, and Stephanopoulos asks her, if there was one thing that you could say to the president right now, what would you say? And she goes, resign. So that's the clip that's going around right now.
Oh, she's so stunning and brave. Isn't she stunning and brave?
This is going to move the needle, not at all.
No, it'll move it like maybe that much.
Remember when Omarosa was like, I'm going to release a tell-all, and
totally
it's going to destroy
forgot
him?
about her.
And everyone was like, okay, whatever, Omarosa, whatever your name is.
Yeah, this chick is just bitter. You're bitter. Bitterness is so ugly.
Just stop. So that happened. Oh, and Ghislaine cried.
I'm sorry, somebody asked what the name of the journalist is. It's Barry Weiss.
Bari.
Weiss. Yeah.
I think it's Ghislaine.
It's not. It's Ghislaine.
It's Ghislaine.
Some people say Ghislaine.
It
depends on how French you are.
It's Ghislaine. We think it's Ghislaine.
It's Giz.
Mm-hmm. I know you do.
It's Ghislaine.
But anyway, she cried because she was denied bail, you guys. She has to stay in jail until next July.
Oh my gosh, poor Ghislaine.
She's got to wait a year.
She's got to wear paper clothes.
Yeah,
that
and be
sucks.
like on paper beds and crap.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. I really don't feel sorry for her.
Who thinks she's going to be around next July?
Who's
your hand?
Well, I don't think it'll be suicide.
Really?
No.
But don't you think it'll be suicide?
Well, if somebody's going to kill her, it's going to be like one of the gajillion people that she's got scoop on.
She's got some... Well, and in the article that I read, it says the prosecution... By the way, one of the prosecutors is James Comey's daughter. Did you guys know that? James Comey's daughter is one of the prosecutors, and here's a very interesting thing. There's a huge pile of evidence that the prosecutors apparently have that they are going to slowly start to, talk about. But she specifically asked the judge that they don't want to release some of it until after the election. Now, why do you think that would be? Doesn't that seem really,
it's really weird?
That's really weird. I thought that was super weird too.
Yeah, that is really weird. Because the Clintons were a part of this, big part, and then there's I'm sure a lot of Democrats who will be pointed out.
I don't know what to make of that.
Well, I think the wheels will start turning, and you can make what you want to make out of it. But we want to wait until after the election
for certain pieces of evidence to come out. I don't know. This is what's so strange.
Bring it out now.
But she's obviously part of the team that is trying to take Ghislaine down. And by the way, she pled not guilty. She said she's not guilty. And then when the judge said you don't get any bail, she apparently cried. I wish that was somewhere viewable.
Somebody's saying she'll get the COVID. It's an interesting...
Well, and that was another case
theory.
That her defense team tried to say is, listen, she can't be in prison because she's totally going to get COVID. Yeah, and so some people are speculating that she will pass away
from
having
COVID.
COVID
Mm-hmm. That's what they'll say.
I just hope that they actually do, from the raid, I hope that they do have evidence that doesn't require her to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that they have files and records and data.
But will we ever see that? Like, not see it, but you know what I mean. Will we ever find out who was in it? Yeah, Bill Clinton better be, he is sweating bullets 26 times on that plane, and you can't tell me he didn't spend actual time at that island. I don't care what James Patterson said in his stupid documentary.
Well, no, in that documentary, the one guy that worked there was like, yeah, I saw Bill Clinton and Jeff Epstein having lunch.
Yeah, but they made it sound like he didn't do anything except have lunch.
Yeah.
They totally brushed over it. They're like, no, but I mean, he was just eating. He was just there to eat lunch.
And that's Alan Dershowitz's claim,
that's
too.
It.
He was just there to lawyer.
The food was really good on the island. That's it. I mean,
I was there to admire the art collection.
They just had shrimp there. Really good. I mean, give me a break. Why the hell would he go there 26 times? You can't tell me it was just for the food. Come on.
Maybe they had like Carmel High School type menu. You don't know.
Oh my God. God, everybody's so naive. I swear.
Okay, we still have a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so and then on top, and then now, like with the Ghislaine stuff, there's like with the Ghislaine, she's relentless.
I like to be front
with the Ghislaine stuff. There's like this whole Chrissy Teigen like thing.
What in the world?
There's like a scandal with that. I mean,
you guys, she is so mad. I looked at her Twitter feed
really
this
mad
morning.
because people are going after Chrissy Teigen. You know how much we love Chrissy Teigen.
Is it because she made jokes about being on the island?
She's deleted like 60,000 tweets.
Yeah, she deleted a bunch of tweets and she blocked over 1 million users this morning. 1 million.
How do you do that?
I don't even know. I think
how do you block?
I think you have to be a celebrity to have those powers on Twitter.
I was gonna say that takes a lot of time.
I know. Because the way that she described it. Let me see, because she said there was a
because people are coming after her and they're like they think they're saying that she and John Legend have spent time on Epstein's island.
It says I have blockchained
over 1 million people and I'm still flooded with sick psychopaths. So please spare me. They just ignore them. They're just trolls.
Oh no, are people being like mean to unkind on Twitter?
This is the thing. It's like, girl, you go after people all the time. Now you know how it feels. Yeah. Now you know how it feels. She goes after people all the time on Twitter. President Trump. Mm-hmm. Melania, she goes after people. Now you know how it feels. Karma's a real bitch, isn't it?
I do get a sense of joy out of the fact that she cried about this. That she's been so troubled by Twitter trolls and people being mean to her on social media that she says that she had to vent and cry and call therapists.
Well,
and I'm glad. You know what? She goes after Trump all the time.
She goes after Trump. She goes after conservatives and Trump all the time. It's like what?
She's awful to people.
She's
absolutely
terrible.
Awful.
Just terrible to people. And she does it on Twitter. And so what do you expect? And then your people will go after the people that you go after. So what do you expect?
She expects everyone to love her.
Yeah. And not everybody loves you. Not everybody does. Some people don't like you. And then people are asking the questions. And if you deleted a bunch of emails, if you deleted 60,000, not emails, but if you deleted 60,000 tweets, people are like, why'd you delete the tweets?
That kind of leads to some suspicion.
Yeah.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
RBG, you guys, back in the hospital.
She'll get out.
She will, because she's a complete superhero.
She'll get out.
There is no one more invincible than Ruth Bader Ginsburg. No one. Mm-hmm. And so apparently she had, she had some sort of stent, like cleaned out or replaced or whatever. So that happened. And then she showed signs of infection. She had fever and chills and whatnot. So they admitted her to the hospital to start her on IV antibiotics, and they expect that she's going to be there a few days.
And then she'll be fine.
And then I really believe
she'll be back in the gym and working out. And lifting weights and being all RBG-ish.
And I hope she is fine. I still want her to resign and stop being a Supreme Court justice, because I just don't want her to do that anymore. But I do wish her all the best health. And she is, for real, she's a superhero.
Yeah, she's a superhero.
No one lasts the way that woman lasts.
She's
times she's beaten cancer, you guys.
She's had cancer 4 times.
4 times?
Yeah, and she's like, it's just cancer.
I mean,
yeah,
she just, like, they give her a diagnosis now, and she's like,
she's like, whatever, I got this. I'm like 1,000 years old. Nothing scares me.
I mean,
whatever.
Cancer, schmancer.
Whatever. Hillary Clinton is still talking. we're doing that today. She's talking about how if Biden is elected, and I don't know why people are still talking to Hillary Clinton. Why are people doing this? Because she made a comment about how if Biden is elected, Trump won't leave the White House.
Yeah, there's reason to believe that he'll put up a fight.
He won't leave.
He won't accept the results of the election. That's what she says.
Oh my God. Holy no self-awareness. Oh my God.
I know, that's my favorite.
What is wrong with you? Why are people still talking to her?
She is crazy.
So that's happening.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it today. That's it. We've got stuff we got to go like record and whatnot. It's Wednesday, you guys. It's hump day.
Hump day.
Bring it in.
Bring it in. And don't forget we have a store where we sell cute things.
That's true. We have a store and we have a podcast out today. So you guys should see that.
Stores at the top at chicksontheright.com. There's a linky link. Podcast, Mock and Daisy Common Sense Cast.
Our happy little cartoon faces.
Same website.
I guess it looks like this when I do it with my hands. The happy little, that's the sign for happy little cartoon faces.
If that picture were animated, it would
look like this. That's what it would look like. You guys have a great Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.